Well, a lot of times in our homes and sometimes our schools and other buildings, we have planted areas, most notably grass. And that grass takes a lot of water and a lot of care, often a lot of chemicals. And there's a move these days to try to replace grass surfaces with native plants.
And let's say 20 people do native plants, then the pollinators and the birds will have an area to go that will sustain them.
So by kind of encouraging the pollinators, we see more plant diversity, and because we see more native plant diversity, maybe we see less erosion by stream beds. We see mountain meadows be able to support more life because the pollinators are helping those plants establish and take hold.
If you're sitting in your house, you look out your window, and what do you want to see different? And you pick a corner, and you do a little corner.
Well, I think that as it gets more established and the animals learn about it, they keep coming back, and hopefully more keep coming back as we get more gardeners.
And there's a symbiotic relationship between the plants, the flora and fauna.
That's almost the point, is that there's a whole lot we can learn about how life works, about how living systems work.
Less water, less maintenance on a native garden, so they have a lot of qualities once you turn to natives.
My name is Martin Ogle, and I'm the education coordinator. I work with Lafayette Open Space, and I'm standing here at the Shack, which is our new mini education station. And at this shack we have all sorts of displays inside on subjects ranging from birds to fish to human history. But one of the big emphases we're taking on lately is planting using native plants in Colorado. Plants that are adapted to our area. And we have a little garden right across the way that has all sorts of these plants featured.
Hi, I'm Rob Burdine with the City of Lafayette Open Space, and standing in front of our new nature shack here at Greenlee Preserve. Over the past several years, we've seen a lot of interest grow in our education and outreach programs in the city, and we figured it would be a good way to better engage our community out in the open space on some of the programs and events that we offer. And around the structure, we're also including a lot of native plants to incorporate into the community, so you can come by and visit, look at the types of plants that grow well here in our environment in Colorado, maybe incorporate those into your landscape at home.
So at our demo native plant garden here, we have 14 different kinds of perennials planted already and 3 different kinds of shrubs inside the garden. And we have 5 or 6 other species of native shrubs outside the garden.
If we bring in, as a lot of people do, their plants from the Midwest or the East Coast, they don't adapt very well here because we have extreme climates. Plus, there isn't that relationship with the insects. But the key to using natives is it allows greater diversity, it acclimates to Colorado's weather, it uses a lot less water, and they're very sustainable in the sense they can deal with this heat and not require a lot of TLC. I choose plants based on I wanted to attract all 4 Colorado hummingbirds. And you go, what plants do I need to attract hummingbirds? And I go to a nursery or online and I order those specific plants, and then you do your homework on how to plant them. Most of the natives do not want wet feet, so that's why you don't need a lot of irrigation.
Well, I think the longer you have it, the more the animals are going to learn about it, and you're going to get more animals. Go out, figure out what life zone you're in, go out in the nature and see where these things are growing, and then plant it appropriately. And plant natives, and this way you are supporting our native animals, which are in kind of dire straits these days.
There's a greater awareness these days of the importance of pollinators. What are pollinators? Mostly insects that go from flower to flower to flower all over our landscape. And flowering plants are naturally co-evolved, co-adapted with their pollinators. And as we have fewer and fewer of the native varieties of plants in our area, the pollinators also suffer, but it also means that the native plants can't do as well. It's a mutual thing there.
Pollinators are those animals that are the sort of playing Cupid, carrying pollen from one plant to another, thereby enabling plants to reproduce more effectively or just reproduce at all. Some plants really rely on pollinators. So our landscape here at Butterfly Pavilion is specifically designed and maintained to support pollinators and other wildlife. And a key piece of that is including native plants in our landscape that can support some of our maybe more forgotten pollinators, like the native sweat bees, the native mining bees, our local butterflies, beetles, and flies. So if the whole community decided that they wanted to create connected and biodiverse habitats for pollinators, we would see a lot more visitation from butterflies and different kinds of bees and other kinds of pollinators. We would also see improved agriculture. We would also see our local kind of plant communities or habitats that we take for granted. We would actually see them improve and be able to do their jobs better.
Our habitat, wild habitat, has been so fragmented. You read about less mammals, less birds, less insects, less pollinators. One of the reasons why I committed myself to this and work with Audubon to create habitats is to support the wildlife so that we are offering not pseudo, but habitat that can be connected.
Well, if all this native planting stuff sounds interesting to you, but the idea of doing it in your area that's just a big expanse of lawn now is daunting, don't despair. You can do it one plant at a time. And in fact, a good plant to start with would be some kind of shrub to put in a corner or edge or somewhere that will displace a certain amount of your grass and is really easy to care for and will grow to a larger size.
So go to your nursery throughout the season too, because then you'll see what's blooming, not just in the spring, but then throughout the season, so that you'll always have something of interest for yourself and for your visitors.